right, and welcome back again to Fanboy TV's South by Southwest live interview marathon. We're finishing up hour 5 and going into hour 6, but to start us off with that, we've got the film Walk With Me, and go ahead and introduce yourselves, gentlemen.
So I'm Max Pugh.
I'm Marc Francis.
And you guys are the
Directors and producers.
Directors and producers. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I want to make sure it wasn't director and producer, in which way I was going to go.
No, we
Yeah,
didn't.
we
Right.
split it right down the middle on
Right.
everything.
All right.
That's
So,
awesome.
y'all are both from France, and in France, if I'm remembering everything rightly, there is Plum Village.
We're actually from the UK. I just happen to
Okay.
live in France.
You happen to live in
But
France.
you're absolutely right that Plum Village, the subject of the film, is located in France. Yeah.
So,
And it was
the
started
film-
by a gentleman who was in Vietnam. I'm also trying to remember this. Vietnam. We watched so many movies in 3 days. It was Vietnam. He was exiled.
Yeah.
Exiled. He moved to France and started
Plum Village.
the Plum Village
Yeah.
to basically keep the faith going.
Exactly.
Right.
So, it's a documentary feature. Go ahead and introduce it off yourselves in your own words, because y'all do it much better than we can, because y'all are the ones that made the film.
Go on, Mark.
Well, we tried to make a kind of cinematic portrait of this community, and Plum Village is a bit like a mindfulness training center. So you have these Zen Buddhist monks who are really committed to cultivating and finding the secret or the art of mindfulness. So we kind of paint a portrait over a year of how they go through that experience, and in doing so try to create a meditative experiential film for the audience so they can somehow enter into that mindful meditative world.
To give you guys or the viewers an idea of what it's like to experience the life of a Buddhist monastic in the 21st century, how contrasted that is to the craziness of life in the world now.
And there's a lot of, and what's great about both the monastery and what your guys' portrayal of it was, there are people from many, many different walks of life, including a young lady from the southern part of America. I think with her accent, I could tell she's from the south, and she's there in France, and she becomes a monk. And at one point in the movie, you actually get to see her and her father actually have an interaction. It's very beautiful. That made me really choked up. I'm going to be honest. I had moments.
There were
Because
there were a lot
very
of
big moments
beautiful
of that.
moments in this film too. It was very. I said this earlier to y'all. We were gonna do the intro thing. It's a very meditative film, like Al said, and it's just. It was relaxing in the good way to watch it, but also very informative, because out of all of us, I think I'm the one that's the biggest into religious studies. So I actually kind of knew what was going on for a lot of it. Just. What was it like filming that for y'all? Like, was it very relaxing for filming a documentary, or was it still pretty stressful, even though you're in this beautiful French countryside and one of the quietest retreats you can probably think of?
Well, we had to put aside sometimes our agenda as filmmakers to grab a certain scene on a particular day, because the community of monastics who kind of became family over the years, it took a long time to make this film, would ask us, and it would end up coming from us, to just stop filming, just put the equipment down and be with them, sometimes for a day, and not shoot anything. And that was hugely enriching for us.
Was it also, when you went to the monks, the monastery, and say, hey, we want to do a documentary about your guys' life, what it is to be a member of your organization, was there any hesitations on their part, or were they like, yes, we would love to have this?
It's an interesting story, because it's actually my brother, my younger brother, is one of the characters in the film.
Oh.
So he's the guy, how's best to describe it, in the prison. There's a scene in a prison where he says that his teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, is a little bit like Yoda from Star Wars.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Right, so that's him. He also plays the cello in a certain scene. So he, in fact, and one of his colleagues came to me back in 2011 and said, would you like to make a film about our community, a road movie, as we tour the US? So they, in fact, came to us and not the other way around.
Oh, awesome.
Then we evolved the project, because as filmmakers we had a different approach to what they wanted. It's not that they wanted a sort of corporate movie or a promotional, but they had a certain idea of what they wanted, and obviously as filmmakers we with the best will in the world, we can't be dictated to. We as artists, we have to respond to a subject matter in our way. But in the end, there were no tensions. It was a beautiful, very open process.
I also like how, and I don't mean this, I want to say this right, very raw, because there's no like, you know, I would say like over spirituality. It shows everyday life, including like one of the ladies as she's cooking talking about being bored. Like she's like, you know, there's just times I'm doing this because it's the motions and I'm supposed to be doing this and this is my responsibility because I have to cook. And she talks about being bored. Like, you don't romanticize it, and I really appreciate that. Where someplace, you know, in other documentaries might like, okay, we need to cut this out because we don't want to make this sound boring. There's also scenes where you have like one of the monks meditating, and he's just kind of at one point stops and is like, sounds yawns, and then just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna try to go back and do this again. Do this again. Be one with the Zen. I'm failing at this. But I love that about this documentary was you guys didn't sugarcoat it with other, I would think, documentaries and even the filmmakers would like, no, we have to show how awesome this is no matter no matter how it turns out.
You got some very beautiful moments. My favorite moment absolutely is when they first arrive in New York in the future. They sit down on a street corner and start meditating, and
You
a
guys did all
gentleman
this
shows
fun.
up. The preacher. A very beautiful moment. The lady starts standing up to him. Was that lady with the group as one of the guides, or was she just a random New Yorker as well?
I've never worked that out. We tried to trace her to ask her permission to use her in the film, and nobody could trace her. So we don't know whether she's with the group or whether she's a passing New Yorker. But she certainly felt like riled. She felt like having an argument that day because he was totally disrespecting their attempt to meditate. But at the same time, a fascinating tension was in the air at that point, which in documentary, to use the term you did, raw filmmaking is a gift. You know, it's a conflict that's happening in front of you, and you can't fail to feel something through that. So you capture it. You know.
Right.
I think coming back to your point about why we put those scenes in, they're no different to us. We all have our struggles and we all have our challenges. We can all get stressed out and bored and have anxiety or whatever it might be, and they do too. It's not like they have become masters, they are students learning.
Yes.
As we all are.
Yeah.
So showing those struggles I think is really important because that kind of makes us feel kind of in a way we're all in this together. The difference with them is that they're just going total dedication and total commitment in trying to do it.
By the way, she talked about her favorite scene. My favorite scene, by the way, was the two older gentlemen, and then one of the guys realizes the reason that guy across from him looks so familiar is because they were best friends who worked together at a thing, was it a correctional facility?
Probational.
Yeah,
Corrections,
correctional facility. And to me, that was just such a great moment because I love those accidental, like, they're on the other side of the world. And who would ever think you were going to meet someone on the other side of the world, particularly someone you knew? As he said, I thought you had died because he was suffering from cancer at the time when he joined the monastery. And it was like, to me, that was just one of the greatest moments. And you guys caught that. And I was like, I was so happy you guys got that moment. And that was so awesome.
Yeah.
So we had both different reasons for the awesome moments, but that was mine. So
my last question before we have to wrap this up, unfortunately. Did y'all approach your narrator before or after he was cast in a particular movie?
It's interesting. No, it was after, and I was talking.
Good timing, right?
Yeah.
Can I go ahead and say who the narrator is?
Yeah,
Of course,
definitely.
It's narrated by Benedict Cumberbatch, who provides an amazingly beautiful voice to some of the scenery.
It's almost more of a. We imagine it more of a performance almost than a narration because he doesn't tell us what's happening in the film. It's the voice of the Zen master.
It's an amazing thing. And recently, Benedict Cumberbatch, as we all know, was Dr. Strange, who had ties to this Tibetan mysticism that is not exactly Buddhist, but pretty close. And so I just found that really kind of an interesting...
You're absolutely right. There's no coincidence at all. He literally came off the set of Doctor Strange and said, I want to do this because I'm in this mindset. He'd been working with Tilda Swinton. They'd been meditating every day up in the monastery in Nepal.
And his narration, like, even though you said it doesn't go with anything going on, but just hearing those words, I almost want to just rip the audio files of those just so put that in car. I've had a bad day. Oh, thank you. I want that in my car. I'm just saying.
All right.
So if people want to know more about the movie or where they can find it, where can they find about this movie?
Well, we have our world premiere this Sunday at the Zach Theatre at 4:30.
tomorrow. Yeah.
We have another screening on Monday.
Yeah, and then Wednesday.
And I can't remember the times of Monday.
And anybody who wants to know the release date should sign up at walkwithmefilm.com.
Yes.
Put
And
their
we recommend
email.
it.
Put
Yes.
their email in that website, and then we will let everybody know when the film is released in the different territories.
You have a Facebook page or just a...
yeah, Walk With Me Film is our
Facebook, yeah.
Facebook page as well, and there's a lot going on that page right now.
So guys, follow them. Give them your email. You definitely want to watch this later. It's totally worth it. It
Definitely
is
a
very
must-see
mellowing,
this
and
year.
particularly in a world where we got a lot of this negative going on. It's wonderful to watch something that's very positive. So keep tuned. We've got a little bit more left of our marathon. We're getting to the last stretch. Till
Hour
then,
6.
guys, sign out. Thank you guys so much for
Thank
the
you.
interview.
Thank you so much.
Be
for
safe.
being here. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.